Big Ben, isn't it? Hey, everyone. Love that sound. I tell you, I really do. I think it's just a cool way of saying hello, everyone. How are you out there? It's hot here. Don't know what it is there in your place, but it is plenty hot here. I'm ready for fall. Hey, everyone. Hello, moderators. How are you all doing? So good to see everyone. Thank you for what will be another hour that you will be glad that you actually spent. So someone said about the other tones. Check this one out. That one's a pretty cool one, isn't it? Now, all of you who can play the chromatic scale, let me know. When I played the clarinet, the bassoon was the hardest one to play the scale on. So, greetings, everyone. Let me invoke favor upon everyone in here, hearing my voice and seeing my image. May favor of tremendous origin be upon you. Got to have favor, folks. Nothing missing, nothing broken be found in your life, and complete restoration. This is really what we're talking about. You know, we're dedicated to find out what is out there, what's awaiting us, and I think we're doing a pretty good job on it. So let's read our declaration. I'll tell you, I love it. People continue to send emails all over the world, all over the world. Yeah, I think there was a song like that, isn't there? All right. We'll read it as a group. All these favors will come upon us and overtake us if we give voice to them each day. Favor will be with us in the city, and favor will be with us in the country. Favor will heal our bodies when we speak favor into our bodies. Remember, your body is a living organism. Little point here I'll have to make. They just discovered another new organ on the body. Anyway, favor will set apart our children, our animals, our ground as favored with abundance of joy. Favor will be on our food and our water and our pantry. Favor will be with us when we come in, and favor will be with us when we go out. Favor will cause our enemies to be at peace with us. Favor will be upon our barns and storehouses where we keep our valuables to prosper and be in safety. Favor will be upon us in everything we undertake. Everything we set our hand to, favor shall cause it to prosper. I love that. I believe in that. I really do. Favor shall be upon all of our material property and cause it to last longer and not break. Favor shall protect us, our relatives, our offspring, our possessions from calamity. Favor will lead us to good fortune in all things. Favor will cause us to be the head, not the tail. And favor will always cause us to come out on top and not beneath, and will always make us to be above and not below. Favor will cause us to have favor with the elements, and will cause us to be favored in the spirit realm. That one is really important. Favor will cause us to be favorable to everyone we meet. They will see us with favor. Favor will seek us out. And we say, it will be created in my words, and what is said has been done. All right. I love that, man. It's like singing your favorite song in a way, isn't it? I think it is. So, greetings. How are everyone? 111. I'm telling you, I don't know about you, but the numbers, ones and eights, I don't know. Anyway, hey, thank you, moderators all out there. There's Karen, Queen of Courts, and David. And hey, Patrick, how are you doing? So good to see you, my friend. Nick Gruhl, saw you over on Brian's channel. I'll have to get you over here. Proud Texas lady. God bless you. Speaking of which, Trina will be on tomorrow, and then Thursday, Karen and I will finally be getting together and going to talk about a number of subjects, the Crystal Network, and so that's going to be exciting, I think, myself. Everyone wanted to see the website for the Talisman, and let me pull it up here for y'all to say. Here you go. I can't put the link in there. YouTube didn't like it. Thought it was some sort of, I don't know. Anyway, here it is. Just really, if you're looking for a product that actually, well, kind of mirrors much of what much of us in this new journey is doing, this is a cool website. So check it out. It's on Etsy.com, and then it's shop. And Frater Setnak. Setnak? Is that how that is? Anyway, there you go. For those of you who have the curious mind and want to know, you got it. All right. So, and we got another person. Mark does he lives down in Texas. Now, he does custom work as well. I actually have one of his pieces. And he does, in fact, I saw another piece that he does that I thought was really cool. Let me pull that one up for everybody. And listen, if you have a talent in this area, let me know. Now, I ordered this one. I want to get this one. This one is really cool. Mark, fantastic work, my friend. So if you want to know more about what Mark does, let me know, and I'll get you his email and contact information. Thought this was really interesting. Did you know that they're finding out that fluoride with pregnant women, mothers, that it lowers the IQ of children? Really? Where'd they get that at? All right. So good to see everyone. I'll tell you what, this is just, y'all are just a phenomenal group. I just want to say it's, Mr. Rogers would be proud of us. This is a group that continues to shine, and we do have the shine, do we not? Let's get right to it today. Got a lot done. I've been working on this, and we got a lot of ground to cover. So this one is titled, Can You See Beyond the Light? And really, when we talk about that, we're talking about death. And that's the only way you got to do it. We got to sometimes grow up. There's so many adults that are such frightened children. And death is the thing that I have found that frightens virtually every person. They live in fear of death. So at some point, you will either wake to the reality that you are already a spirit and you are existing in a foreign realm temporarily, and it has become so bad that you are afraid of going back home where you actually exist now and have been since your beginnings. And I don't know when you began. None of us, I believe, are probably at the same age, if age is even a factor at that point. But isn't it odd, folks, how we continue to deny this blatant reality? We are spirit beings. We have a home. This is not home. If this was home, there would be no dying. That's simple reasoning. And it amazes me. I was there myself. How many people are afraid of going home? What, do you think that there's something waiting for you there? Yeah, most likely your tribe of some sort. So I ask a simple question. Why are you afraid of spirits and the spirit realm? It really comes down to, there's not too many channels on YouTube, not too many channels on Facebook that really deal with death, because no one wants to think about death, but yet they do. You know, it's the human races are, they have the ostrich syndrome. So what you are saying is that you're afraid of yourself. Is it so hard to believe that there just might be a more superior realm than this one, and one that in actuality rules and runs this realm? And if this could be the case, then would not those laws and principles be more superior to this one? That's the whole foundation of all religions of the world. They're not teaching you a doctrine of this realm. People become so, I don't know, they lose all cognition of thought, of rational reasoning. I was talking to someone recently about putting something together on dealing with death. There's no industry out there that deals with death other than the funeral homes, and they're run by two families. People will say, well, I just let the religious people handle it. Yeah, that's the problem. No one wants to address it. And then when you start teaching things like spiritualism, and you start teaching things about magic and communicating with spirits, well, people get all up there, dander all up, and they just lose all cognition of reasoning. When in fact, folks, we're going to be there. We're there already. Let me just say the reality of this for you today. 2 generations yet to be coming into this realm, you are already a ghost, a spirit, a specter. You're dead. How does that feel for you? Some point in time, you've got to break this construct. We all do. So if the laws and principles of the spirit realm do in fact impact this physical realm, then would it not make logical and reasonable sense to learn and apply those laws and principles while we are temporarily existing here? How do you argue against this? The problem is the world has been contaminated, polluted with religious ideology, all claiming that they have the right God, and then they build this whole construct around that. Meantime, all they're doing is stealing and not giving credit to an already existing power structure, far superior than this one. And if this knowledge is already known by a few human beings here, and it is prospering them, then should not all human beings be taught as well so they can prosper? Listen, any religion that's out there that takes donations, they're prospering based upon their view of the afterlife. And at some point, they don't know. And this is why wherever this is taught, it's been met with persecution, resistance, great lengths, time, money, resources have been spent to so scare people of the spirit realm that they feel completely helpless. And then they begin to get into this delusion that, well, it's this cosmic war going on. Now, if that cosmic war is going on, then all of this is, your and my existence has no meaning, has absolutely no foundation of the future, because there's this greater construct. I reject that. I want no part of it. I will not participate in it. And you can't prove to me that it actually exists. What we're talking about is birth and death. And here's the problem, folks. Mankind cannot define birth, what it is. Oh, we can get into the physiology of it. We can tell you, all the aspects of the physical aspect of it, but we're just shooting from the hip, baby, on the spiritual aspect of it. We're going by something that has been said something so long ago that it should have been done and put away. Isn't it amazing how something that's so old is yet still dominating the thought process today? We can't define birth. And then that becomes a problem because we don't know what death is. We get drawn into this illusion that somehow birth, this physical, corporeal realm, is what dictates reality. And it's not. Not at all. Death is a frequency. We know that. But what we've missed in this is that we see this as a sensation of what they call brain activity. It's just on a different level. We don't know how to measure it. We don't know how to even begin to define it. We don't even know how to begin to even as to what it is. But it is. This patient here, they went on over to the other side. But yet we're finding, even in this, there is a residual impulse. Yeah, I ain't kidding you. And it really becomes down to that, doesn't it? And the older you get, the more screwed up you become, because you've had a lot longer exposed to the fallacy that I have found all religions portray the afterlife to be. Even what we're reading here, I have like, so you're telling me the afterlife is Christian-based? Bullshit. If that's what they're saying, they're lying spirits. Just the fact that you could even define that shows that it's bullshit, and I'll tell you why. Because if a spirit is in fact infinite, Christianity is a recent, very recent construct. And so now you're telling me that this construct has moved into the afterlife, the ethereal world, and now taking over there? Bullshit. I'm not buying it. And neither should you. But in a journey, when you're traversing new ground that you've never been through, you may be on the path, but it's fraught with all sorts of hazards. Just a part of it, folks. I know. This gets serious, and it's time we get serious about it. People are dying every day. People are living in poverty, anguish. I don't think it has to be that way. I mean, our whole system here is a predatory system. Gee, I wonder if we got taught about this system before we came in. I wonder if it's allowed on the other side to those who are coming in that they get a preview of what they're getting themselves into. I mean, think about it. I never hear anyone talk about that. Don't see any YouTube channel talking about that. I mean, it seems like, wait a minute, we become finite in so many of our views, and when we want to be speaking esoterically about the infinite. So there is another book that we will be going through. This one is the Gospel According to the Spirits. And I just wanted to read this little part in here before we get into the main things. They go on, they say, however, we must not forget one important fact. that in order to meet the future, we must make preparations in our today. That's what we're doing. Each moment that pauses cannot be recovered. Therefore, we must make use of every instant to grow spiritually, to open up our horizons, to broaden our minds, to seek and cultivate our spirituality. We are spiritual beings. We are all immortal creatures. People they can't believe that. They want to believe in it. But when you start pressing them on what is immortality, what is infinity, they can't. Recently had a conversation with someone again about they're so deep into this heaven and hell thing. And when I talked to him, I said, well, then write down for me exactly what your future in heaven will be. I want to know specifically what the hell you're going to do when you get there. I waited almost a week, contacted the person back. I said, where is your list? They emailed me and said, I don't know. I once thought I did, but you made me think. And now I don't know how heaven can exist. They found out. The poor individual, not poor now, rich. But this individual, whole core collapsed. That's the problem here, because when you deal in this and you start facing the brutal reality of the situation, this individual had never done this, just accepted it on the premise that, well, someone else will take care of it once I'm over there. Don't work that way, baby. Don't work there here, and it's not going to work over there. If we are to one day find happiness and peace, then we must consider our whole being. While we go on thinking of ourselves as material people, we are only looking at half of ourselves, and here lies the secret of so many mistakes, so many unhappiness, and so many failures. But in order to recognize these truths, we must also be prepared to accept the responsibilities that go with them. For every person, this wider and deeper knowledge of life carries with it the need for self-analysis, self-correction, and self-improvement. Without these things, we are all standing still, marking time, going nowhere. If this book helps even one person to take just one step forward, then it will have done its work. God never demands, and God is not a personification. It is not an individual. My goodness, I can't get people to get that out of their heads. It doesn't exist. Anyway, God never demands the impossible of any of us, nor gives us burdens for which we do not have the strength. So if we try to make a conscious effort to better ourselves, then we have begun our journey into the future, towards the light, where one day victory, peace, and joy will be with us. And this was written by Janet Duncan in 87. It goes on to write, this actually is what the Spirit said. The spirits of the Lord, who are the virtues of heaven, move as does an immense army upon receiving orders from their commander, spreading out over the face of the earth, and similar to the stars which fall one after another from the skies, and come to illumine the pathways and opens the eyes of those who cannot see. In truth, I say unto you, the times are come when all things will be established in their true light, when the darkness shall be dissipated, the prideful confounded, and the just glorified. The great voices of heaven reverberate like the sound of trumpets, and the choirs of angels assembled. Mankind, we are inviting you to this divine concert. Take up the harp and lift up your voices in unison, so that in a sacred course, the sound may extend and reach from one extreme of the universe to the other. Fellow beings, beloved brothers and sisters, we are here beside you. Love one another and say from the bottom of your hearts, Lord, Lord. In so doing, you fulfill the wishes of the Father who is in heaven. Then you too may enter into the kingdom of heaven. And I think that this is the key difference here. We'll get out of here on this one, is that it's more likely it is, in fact, exactly what they say. It is a kingdom, a realm. And I think that that has a whole different connotation as to what heaven is. The problem I have when I hear heaven, is, again, I get this idea that, well, what is it? Is this a city? Is it a state of consciousness? Is it an actual place? It would seem. The Spirit says it's actually a planet. That would make sense. I can't see it just being floaty, you're out there. And maybe that's why most spirits don't stay. I mean, maybe there is, in fact, another planet that houses us, processes us. There is a process. There's no doubt about it. I think they may be as litigious over there as we are over here. I hope not. But I've come to understand something, that there is structure. There are laws and there are principles that govern the ethereal realm, the spirit realm. It's saturated through all religions. So we know there has to be a structure. Now, I guess the debate is, well, how does one go about finding that structure? Do you go through, a theology, a dogma? Does it become an ideology? I mean, quite frankly, I haven't met anyone yet that's come back in the physical that was over there. I mean, we've all had some near-death experiences. I've had I've been visions on the other side. I think I've been there, but I couldn't define for you because I don't know. Maybe it's that we've had this block. Maybe there is a force field there that we can't penetrate. Maybe that is the separation that the spirits tell us last week in our studies, that it takes place, that there's this actual barrier. I don't know. I have another PDF I want to share with you as well. This is from the Book of the Sacred Tree. And in this book, I do have the PDF if anyone wants this one. One of the things I've been picking up from our readings here is names are important. Names are important in magic. We know that most of the magic today is really predicated from the Kabbalah, and that we found out is really, medieval. I still contend that we're probably still under the hangover of the Dark Ages. It's taken its 1,000 years plus, and we're still dealing with the headache from that. That's powerful magic, folks. But I wanted to read this. Now, one of the names I have always did enjoy about the Jewish God was the names. It gives you an idea, if this deity exists, it can't be a single deity. It's probably one of these beings that no matter how you look at it, it changes. Good evidence to that. The name Adonai corresponds with the attribute of Malchut, the kingdom, or what they call the tree of life, and is affiliated with the abundance traditionally associated with the latter. Hence, it is considered a very powerful divine name directly related to our sphere of existence. It is said in the abundance which this name is channeling, into the kingdom of manifestation derives from two names directly affiliated with this name. Aleph, and the initial letters after Adonai, is said to refer to the divine name of the Keter, the crown of consciousness on the tree of life. Whereas the Yod, the including letter of Adonai, refers to Yahweh, the ineffable name. And I just wanted to show you, because many of you who are looking into a lot of the Talisman work and charging and what have you, you find these names there. And I don't know, you can believe they exist. I do believe they exist. And apparently there is a structure that can be accessed. And this is how it was put to me. I may not own the power grid, and as far as me and the grid are concerned, we can coexist without each other. But the way higher realm seems to work, I can actually plug in to that power source. I don't have to be a devotee. I don't have to be a follower. I don't have to be a worshiper. It's there. And if you have the right code, the right combination, you can, in fact, plug into it. It's the same thing like living in a foreign city. You have a visa. You're not of that, but you're living in it. I think that it's the same way here. And I see that there's probably 6 people who disagree, but that's okay. You know, it's all a journey. And sometimes I use very blatant metaphors, but sometimes that's what it takes to kind of say, hey, man, wake up. All right. I'm just kind of I'm just reading some of the things. I shouldn't do that because it's kind of like, texting and driving, which when I see people do that, I go, are you just a moron? Then you have to find out later that Thursday night on the Steiger Perspective, tune in. I'm going to be talking about, and I know I just segued completely out of, but this has a connection to this. Trances. That's all I'll say. Thursday, Steiger Perspective. All right. Well, thank you, Darth. Appreciate it, buddy. Hey, Jenny, how you doing? Wayne Murray, hello. Good to see you. All right. So we'll get right back into our reading. And so we're here on the spirit life. We're at the point now of errant spirits. Now, this is kind of cool. Again, weigh this out. Even the Apostle Paul, if he ever lived, existed, I don't know. But in his writings, he said, test the spirits. Listen, when I found out that Paul had a copy of the Liber Lilith, changed everything. When you begin to realize they knew, they had knowledge that was not being shared. And I've always wondered why. All right, let's go. Does the soul reincarnate immediately after being separated from the body? Sometimes the separation happens immediately, but more often it occurs after longer or shorter intervals of time. Reincarnation is almost always immediate in higher worlds. Corporeal matter is less coarse in those worlds, and a spirit retains nearly full use of its spiritual faculties while incarnated. Its normal state is that of a lucid somnambulist. This is interesting because I'm going to be talking about trances. And we're finding out here that now, since none of us have been over there, we're going to take this on face value. That's the respectful thing to do. It's like when someone reads to you something that is part of them, sacred, religious, it's respectful. I find so many people, younger people, they don't understand respect. They have this different connotation of respect. But anyway, so there is a process where apparently we're going to have something like bodies, and we will, as we advance, will incarnate in those bodies. This is interesting. What happens to the soul in between incarnations? It becomes an errant spirit, hoping for a new destiny. It is in a state of waiting. How long can these periods last? From a few hours to thousands of centuries. There are no predetermined limits on the errant period, which may carry on for extensive intervals of time, but is never perpetual. Sooner or later, a spirit is permitted to start a new life to purify its previous lives. Does the length of time that a spirit is left in the errant state depend on the spirit's will, or can it be imposed as a means of atonement? It is a consequence of the spirit's free will. Spirits are fully aware of their actions, but in some cases, it is also a punishment inflicted by God. I don't understand that. For me personally, I don't understand if the highest intelligence, the originator of everything, that its only means of teaching spirits is by inflicting pain and punishment. This is where I got a problem with this. Much of this I can go with the flow, but boy, I'll tell you what, me and this God would have a problem. That's all I got to say. Because let me tell you what, apparently that's what the process is. I mean, I don't know about you, sweetheart, but my life has been no bucket of roses, bowl of cherries, a party. Had some rough times in it. Did you learn? Yeah. So maybe Steiger has to say, well, that's just the way it is. I still hold out that there is a higher way. Let's go on. In other words, it has been granted at their own request to enable them to pursue studies that are easier and more effectively carried out in the spirit state. All right, so we got two things going on here. It seems that you have free will, you're fully aware of your actions, and in some cases, it's also a punishment inflicted by God. They go on to say, apparently, we can make requests not to go back into another life. And it appears as well that we have the ability to study in the spirit state. It's very interesting. Is the quality of being errant a sign of a spirit's inferiority? No, because there are errant spirits of every degree. As we have already told you, being incarnated is a transitional state. Spirits are detached from matter in their normal state. Is it accurate to say that all spirits who are not incarnated are errant? Yes. In terms of those who are going to reincarnate, pure spirits have reached perfection and are no longer errant since their state is definitive. Wow. Okay. So they go on to explain this a little bit more. Depending on their inherent qualities, spirits belong to different orders or pass through varying degrees of advancement successively as they become purified. Regarding their state as spirits, they may be incarnated or tied to a material body. Now, I don't understand that one so much. That one I don't get. What does it mean to be tied to a material body? They may incarnate or tied to a material body. Little thought for that one. Excuse me, folks. The material body, errant or disengaged from a material body and waiting a new incarnation for further improvement, or pure spirits who are perfect and have no further need for incarnation. I wonder sometimes, are there these type of spirits here? You mean, have these been the messengers of peace? Was this their, final ascension? I don't know. How do errant spirits learn? Since it cannot be in the same manner as incarnated people do. They study their past and try to think of ways to raise to a higher degree. They observe everything that is happening around them while listening to the discourses of enlightened individuals and the counsel of more advanced spirits than they are. And this provides them ideas that they do not possess. Folks, when I hear this, I can't help but not be drawn back to the city of Ephesus. Much of Paul's writings took place in that city. If you study Ephesus, it has a very interesting history. And Ephesus was the epitome of both the cultures of Rome, the past of the Greek Empire. You had the influence of Mesopotamia, Egypt, India, and the Middle East, Judea. And they had amphitheaters, and where the great philosophers, the minds, would get up and expound upon their thoughts they'd been given. They would debate ideas. It had to be quite something to see. It really did. I would have loved to have lived there. Who knows? I may have. But this clearly, to me, indicates there has to be a physical place here. I mean, I say physical in the sense of the limitation of our definition of physicality. But it appears that there is an actual place where all of us will have the opportunity. I don't know. Is Plato there? Is Thoth there? I don't know. It gives one the idea that we will have the opportunity to learn from the ascended masters. At least that's what I'm picking up on this. All right. Do spirits retain any of the human passions? Yeah. I've asked, do spirits get hungry? Obviously, they have emotions. Do we have need of substance? Do we have sex? Anyway, elevated spirits lead, and don't be saying that, having sex is at the lower level. How do you know? Someone had to have it at the top. So that tells me that it originated at a very high place. Anyway, I digress. Elevated spirits leave behind the bad passions when they have shed their physical envelope and only retain the good passions. All right, so I have a problem with this. Now, we have to define elevated spirits, number one. Because the question was, do spirits retain any human passions? Now, it says elevated spirits leave behind bad passions when they shed their physical and only retain good. All right. Then that means there's another class of spirits. Has to be. They have said as much. They gave us exactly in exact order what these realms are. Now we can see. However, low order spirits retain their earthly imperfections. And there's your problem. If you have poltergeist, if you have what I call mischievous spirits, this is who they are. They're human as you and I are. but they're operating at an advantage. And that's the thing, folks, why I get into this, because I don't like being put into a situation where I'm disadvantaged. So here we find out the lower order spirits, they carry these imperfections over. Yikes. However, otherwise, they would belong to the highest order. Why do spirits not leave behind all their wrongful passions when they leave the earth, considering that they are then able to perceive the disastrous consequences of those passions? There are people in your world who are excessively jealous. For example, do you think that they lose this imperfection immediately upon leaving your world? After the departure from physical life, especially those who have had well-marked passions, the spirit retains a kind of atmosphere that envelops them, that is infused with all their former negative base traits, since they are not entirely freed from the influence of materiality. They catch glimpses of the truth here and there, showing them the true path to follow. Boy, does that not just really bring out the free will factor? It sounds like there are those spirits that through their own will, I don't know, either are not fully motivated to, get up there to the higher realms. I mean, we see this. It's evidence in spirituality of all different, whether it's the jinn, whether it be demons, angels, specters, poltergeists, we know, we can measure, we can actually record their energies now. This helps kind of explain it. All right. Do spirits progress when they are in the errant state? They may in proportion to their efforts and desire for improvement. It is in the physical life that they put the new ideas they have acquired into practice. No matter how you slice it and dice it, you listen to this, it gets in you. You retain it. I wonder how much it has effect on our passing. Are errant spirits happy or unhappy? It depends on their merit. They suffer from the passions they have retained and are more or less happy depending on the strength of their connection to material life. When a spirit is in an errant state, it has perceptions of what it needs in order to be happy. Wow. When this happens, it is compelled to seek what it lacks. However, a spirit is not always permitted to reincarnate when it desires to do so. And in that case, it becomes a punishment. Wow. This is profound, and it's the questions I think we all ask, the emotions. Apparently we can be sad. Apparently we can be glad. Apparently we can be happy. Apparently we can be pissed off, mad, angry, jealous, rage. Kind of explains some things now. And you notice that there's no hell here, folks. This is individually. Now, I'm kind of curious as to see the adventure of gaining new knowledge. Can an errant spirit enter all worlds? That depends. When a spirit has left the body, it is not fully disengaged from matter. It still belongs to the world in which it has lived, or even a world of the same degree, unless it has risen to a world of a higher degree. This progressive elevation should be the perpetual goal of every spirit, or else it would never reach perfection. A spirit may enter higher worlds, but it would be as an outsider. It can only obtain a glimpse of them. But such glimpses, often trigger a desire to improve, to become worthy of the happiness that is enjoyed in those worlds, and to eventually live in them. I can dig that. Yeah, I'm all over that. Do purified spirits ever enter lower worlds? That's a good question. They enter them very frequently to help these worlds advance. Otherwise, these worlds would be left to themselves without any guidance to direct them. Wow. So that gives us the question, well, what is Earth? And I think they told us that if you're here, you're in the higher education realm. You know, some of us are here on advanced doctoral degrees. But I find it really interesting that many of us, by the indication of the book, and we'll find out as we continue in this, actually go back, folks. Probably many of us in this chat room, many of us watching this video, our next lives will probably be assignments of going into lower worlds. Now, maybe that is where the concept of hell comes from. Maybe it's that interpretation of, they've told us there are other worlds that are far more brutal than this one, which if they're more brutal than this one, OMG, baby. Yeah. Well, thank you, Richard. Appreciate that. It's the only thing I could think of. Because how many of us would think about this, folks? Put yourself in this. I believe that there is this other realm waiting for us. We're all going to go there anyway. I believe that there is structure. I believe you can learn it here. I believe we can communicate with them. I believe that there is a process. It's just a lack of knowledge. Now, I know there are some really good people here. Hearts of gold. Their spirits are eager to help humanity, even in their own suffering. I don't know. If I was a recruiter, I'd be waiting on the other side saying, hey, could we talk a minute? Now, I've been giving this some thought because you think about this. What if God, and I think God is everywhere. It's thought. It's the purest intent of thought, whatever you want to define it. But that purest thought comes into you and says, listen, I can save you, at least 3, 4, 5, maybe more reincursions coming back in and advance you to this level. But this is what you've got to do. You've got to go down in there and you look and you're going, what the freak? And they say, you got to go down and bring enlightenment to them. They're killing those type of people. Yeah, I understand that, but your word might be the very thing that triggers on this whole planet, this whole construct of their reality. They're brutal down there. Yeah, I get that. I understand that. But understand, you're going to get the reward by advancing many, many steps. Would you do it? I got a sense many have, because I think they've been here. I think we've all met those type of higher spirits. I'm going to tell you why I think we've met them. Because we are them. They see, I think there's many of us here that we're awakening to the fact of who and what we are. And that's a game changer. And I think that vibration is increasing. And whoever the infinite being is, I still contend there is a level of existence that man has not comprehended yet. There is a realm that is beyond our ability to process. And I think many of us are a part of that. So, y'all are good people. And it's an honor to be around you. And I love this, when you're effective when you begin to see the students fidgeting in their chairs. They don't like you, but they're here nevertheless. And that's the good thing. Whether as a CEO or as a teacher, I've seen it. I've hired employees that they didn't necessarily like me, but they did respect me, and that's the point. So, hey, thank you all. This was a pretty heavy session today. It is no doubt, but that's what I will continue to do. I'll continue to press your consciousness. I'll push you beyond your point of comfort. I'll make you hate me. I'll make you just put thumbs down and everything else. But the thing about it is, baby, you always come back. Why? Because you know that there's something different here. And when you add it to the rest of your knowledge that I don't have, no one else knows, it adds to your consciousness. Well, thank you, Grandpa Brian, 420. I mean, I live in Denver, outside Denver, but Denver's a very violent city, as most cities have become. And I'm seeing way too many young people dying needlessly. And I hear the youth out there. They have no hope, folks. They've got no direction. They've seen the fallacies that many of the baby boomers are realizing. They need an alternative. And I think that if you can teach death properly in its proper context, it will give you more of a vigor for life, to good in this life, to be able to help those around you, no matter what that person is, no matter what the color of their skin, no matter what their economic status is. They can begin to realize that they may hold the very key to begin to start a whole change in humanity. That's what's missing. And if you don't like what I'm saying, get the hell out of here. I don't care. Because I'm tired of seeing the same crap day in and day out. I'm fed up with the hate. I'm fed up with the whole social status thing. We've got to change, folks. Otherwise, that brutal world I was talking about is here. And I don't want to make it that. I think we can make it a paradise. Leave a legacy. Allow the youth to realize there is other knowledge that can give them purpose, give them reason for hope. And it isn't what type of clothes or tennis shoes or anything else like that. It's what they are within. And that's not what's here anymore. We live in a liberal society where they want to talk about spirit, but they have no idea what spirit is because they're spiritless, as most religions are. They're spiritless. We are the living spirit. And that's what makes things change, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to be mature. There's a lack of leadership. There's a lack of moral stability. Okay, I've had enough. All right. I thank you all. You're beautiful people. Every one of you are. And I'm talking to the spirit changers. You. Listen, you learn magic. You learn talisman. You learn how to control these elements. You start harnessing this power and start channeling it into the good of your home, your neighborhood, your community. Yeah, there's a whole lot of negative, but folks, I know how tides change, and it's always imperceptible. They don't see it. And when the change does happen, they get caught up into the change. Well, thank you, Al. You made my day. We love each other. And that's what we do. And I'm convinced of this. The youth of this world, they've been sucked into a false belief. And that's why there's so much anger. Now, there's other things going on, as we'll talk about Thursday night on the Steiger Perspective. But yeah, that's why we need magic. We've got to fight this force, and it's a force. And it uses this magic. That's why it's so covetous of it. And it doesn't want you to realize that it's been stealing from you, because if you don't make use of it, fine with them. All right, Trina will be here tomorrow. We'll have a great conversation. Looking forward to it. And in the interim, folks, be good to yourself. You're beautiful. And share your gift with those around you. That's the thing to do. All right. Peace out. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.